Praise the Lord, saints! This is so exciting to me today. I hope you were just excited in the Lord. It is such a fantastic day. And I have more questions. And so today I am going to answer questions. So if you have a question, you can always go to julieblair.com and submit your question, or wherever you happen to be seeing this video. I get a lot of questions, and so now I just have this plethora of them, so I'm going to just answer questions and hope that your answer, or that these answers are, well, the answers that will suffice. And so I'm going to get to 3, maybe 4, because I don't want to take up hours of your time. I know you all have very many things to get done today. And so the first question, I want you, if you have your Bible with you, your Bible is going to have a reference to this, but in the book of Luke is where this question is based from, and it's out of chapter Luke 23. And the question is from Matt in Boise, Idaho. And the question is this: Julie, Jesus said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Why do you think he said that? Luke 23:34. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And they parted his raiment and cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided him, saying, "He saved others, let him save himself, if he be Christ, the chosen of God." Why would God or Jesus say, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do"? Number one, because they knew not what they do. That would be the first direction that I would go with that they don't know what they're doing, and Jesus did. That's one. And we might say, well, that's kind of the obvious one, right? I mean, Jesus would already know that they don't know, because if they truly knew, then the next question would be, if they truly knew, would they still? Kind of like Judas, did he fully know what he was doing? Or Peter, did he fully know what he was doing? Now, to take it a step further, for Jesus to say this, I see that, but then I also see the forgiveness part. There is no forgiveness without the shedding of blood. Jesus was already in the position of the sacrificial lamb before it happened. Things happen in the spiritual before they happen in the physical. Divorce, symptom. Abortion, symptom. The things in the natural are the outcome of the spiritual. Because Jesus operated in the spiritual, he could speak, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," knowing where Jesus was already being positioned as the sacrifice, as the intercessor for those to come. In simplistic way, and not to diminish this in any way, but if you've ever been told, dress for the job you want, not the job you have, Jesus was operating on this earth in his destiny, already overcoming death so that we could live, and he was already operating in it at that time. "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." He was already moving in the position of intercessor in the spirit realm on this earth while he was here, overcoming death to return, so we too could overcome death to self and continue to walk. So fascinating. Just the picturesque of what Jesus did for us on this earth while he was dying to overcome. And of course, those that don't believe aren't going to believe, so of course they're going to mock him. I mean, it goes like this. People always want to put you to be the one to defend a claim that they have against you, or has nothing to do. These people will prove, because we can read in these next verses, right? Oh, well, let him save himself. Well, like he needs to prove anything to these wicked unbelievers. Like, really? Waste of time. But yet we already know what he did. Those that believe will receive. Those that don't will reject and mock, and they'll end up in hell, and it's their own choice. I mean, you don't have time to waste on that. Choose life, choose death. Okay, well, not on me. It might sound a little bit harsh, but it's the reality of it. When we start moving and you see what Jesus did, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. He already knew what they didn't know. He already knew what they did, and he already knew where they were going and where he was and what he was going to be walking into for us. So I pray that really answers your question, Matt. Now, the next question, and this question is a big question, even though it seems really small, but the question is from Jesse in Jacksonville. And Jesse in Jacksonville asked me, I listened to your message about getting your house in order. What did you do, and what does that mean? Oh boy, well, I've got stuff I'm going to show you, because I took this for spiritually, get your house in order. So when God spoke the word, this was January 2018. When God spoke the word then, what I did was I went into prayer and Lord, show me, reveal, Holy Spirit, everything out of order. That was one position that it's always spiritual. Get your house in order. It's not go vacuum, but it's get your house in order. What spiritually is out of order. If you are head of your household, you're a gentleman. What is your house in spiritual order? Wives, are you submitting to your husbands? Men, are you submitting to your wives as Christ loves the church? So that was the first place. Okay, Lord, spiritually, expose everything out of order so I can correct it. That was my first prayer. Then, after that, and that took, I don't even remember how much time that took, but it took as much time as it took to make sure that everything was operational, that my spirit was in order, my heart was in order, my words are in order, that my life is in order. Then it became in the natural. And God started showing me a lot of things. And it came in the natural. He sent me to my kitchen. And now I have a pretty organized kitchen. However, there were things that God started showing me about the times that we're in now with related to this food situation and the foods that I was eating and what I was needing to put in my body that I probably wasn't at that time, and how I was taking care of it, because there's so many things. And so then I was sent to, we know in Timothy where it tells us, Paul talks to us about be prepared in and out of season. Then God sent me to Proverbs 31. Now, I used to just not like her, if I'm going to be real honest, because she was just so irritating. But here was the thing in the Proverbs 31 woman. Who can find a virtuous woman for her price is far above rubies? Sorry, technical issues. It always seems to be something. But and I'm not stopping. So the price of a ruby, I taught on this a couple years ago, and the price of most expensive ruby was over 600 million. Okay, well, then it continues on. The heart of her husband doth safely entrust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good. She seeketh wool and flax, worketh willingly with her hands. So she's like the merchant ships. She brings food from afar. She rises while it is night, gives meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considers a field and she buys it. She with the fruit of her hand, she plants a vineyard. Like, she is strengthened. She is not the woman that is the barfly and has nothing in her food for her children to eat. She doesn't just stick a hungry man in the oven and just say, here you go. She does not say, oh, my husband needs to get reservations for dinner because I'm all that and that bag of chips that nobody needs to eat anyway, right? So I had to really study this Proverbs 31 woman and look at how she operated. What was she doing? What were her operations? How did she do this? Every single thing. Now, what did I do? So I took everything out of my pantry, everything out. Now, I was organized in the fact that I had everything in jars. Back in the day when I moved from Denver to Dallas, bought the Anchor Hocking jars. the square ones because I thought I could organize better with the square ones. It was very nice. But in Texas, there are these things called weevils. And they were in some of my food, which was very disturbing because everything was in the nice, expensive jars that are now in my garage in cases. And sure, they closed, but they were not the mason jars. So in this time, I've had everything up. My kitchen, the kitchen island, there's just so much stuff all over the place. And I had to go through all of it and really look at what system I had in place, which was kind of my wheelhouse because I love systems. So I'm already prayed up. God's showing me everything spiritually is fine, but now we got this mess. I was at this for about 6 hours, and then finally I called one of my prayer partners. I took a picture. I said, I think I need some help. And she said, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I said, well, here's the message, and God has shown me a few things. So I had to undo pretty much most everything that I had done and seek the Lord. And what he showed me about this was back in 2018, January, about being able to be sustainable and not relying on our just-in-time grocery store operations that I needed to fully understand because we live out of convenience. In Dallas, Dallas County, there's 27,000 restaurants in Dallas County alone. There's 4 times as many restaurants as there are in New York City. The lifestyle is a very convenient lifestyle. And while I'm not one that I don't really like to go out to eat a lot unless it's really good food. I just don't like going out to eat. And so there were things I needed and things I didn't have. So God took me on this journey. I'm going to show you a few things about what I had to do. So within this, I got crazy, and so I have my quart-sized jars. I have my pint jars with baking powder, and then I have the half-gallon jars for pasta, rice, grains, crackers. Yes, there's some cookies. I don't really eat a lot of cookies, but they're in there. You can put chips in there. So I went on this journey of, okay, Lord, because if I'm spending money and it's going into the trash, then I'm not being a good steward with what God has given me. So I bought the FoodSaver and I bought the little jar attachment. Okay. Well, then I had to find all the jars. And let me tell you, my kitchen was disarray for 3 weeks. This took me 3 weeks to get done, but this is just the kitchen. I'll get to the rest in a second. So what this allowed me to do is know that when I buy something at God's best price, because he's sending me to the grocery store every week for many, many years, and I don't have any of those. I'll tell you about something else that he had me do. But anyway, so whenever I buy something, the quinoa, got that. Take it out. The baking powder. Now, normally when I put something like this in the jars, there's no need for the ring, but the rings need to be on this because they come unsealed. It might already be. It keeps it. See. So I just leave those on that, but this one, it does not. And you can't. You need the opener to open these. Now, what this does for me is this: whenever I buy anything that has a label on it, like canned goods, I actually write an X through that label, that barcode on the back, because that's all satanic and I'm not entertaining that. So every time I buy a canned good, I doesn't matter what the canned good is or what the item is. If it's canned goods, I cross out that barcode and I write Jesus over it, and then I anoint it. I anoint all my food. I cast off every single spirit, every single familiar spirit, every addiction to the food. I'm not playing around. This is food that was going to be sustainable for my family, and I need it to last. And I'm not entertaining anything of the devil, so he can flee, and he does, and he knows he's not welcome here. So everything and I pray over all my jars whenever I buy the jars. Now, let me tell you this. The jars, the 2 best places that I found, actually there's 3, but I don't know about one anymore. Target. But I only buy when they go on sale because, I don't pay full price for anything. And with the amount of jars that I was buying, I needed them on sale. And so Target was the first place. I never buy Amazon or Walmart because they were almost double and a half what I was paying. These jars, 1 jar or 2 on Amazon was almost $36. $18 a jar? They're out of their mind. What crack are they smoking? Not having that, right? So I went to Winco. If you've got a Winco in your area, that's the best place. And if you ask the manager if they can order them, they will order them. So you can order like 10 cases at a time. Now it might be $100 that you're spending, but in the time and the hassle and the re-going and you can save the time. Now I didn't do that the first time because I didn't know how many I was going to need, but I needed more than what I thought. So I took all my pasta, all my grains, all the things that I use, and this is what stays in my pantry. Then the other place is Ace Hardware, and Ace Hardware kind of struck me that they would be a place to go. But Ace is the place. It was at one time. I don't know if it still is. So that's with the jars. Okay. Now, and I'll get to the freezer stuff in a second. So then God started showing me about preserving meat because there would be a meat shortage. Now this goes back to January 2018. Okay, Lord, so how do I do that? You know, I grew up in a household where we had a garden and my aunts and my grandmothers, they were all into the canning, and I just thought it was so homely. It was just not anything I wanted to be a part of. I just, the apron and so homely. Except now I get it. And now I'm all over it. Now I got systems in place and it works well. So God sent me to the pressure canners. And I did not bring it down to show you because it weighs 30 pounds without anything in it. And it's big. And I now have canned my own meat. So you can see this was canned. This was December of 2019. So when you go into the store and you buy like the canned chicken, which now they sell it for Costco, it's like $10. But now I've got my own, and I buy the chicken in bulk, like 40 pounds at a time. And it's like $1.19 a pound. And then I've already got the jars because I watch when the jars go on sale. Which, going back to these jars for just one moment, there are times when Kroger will have the jars on sale, and they want sale for $5 a case. So let me tell you, I stocked up because now those same jars are now like 16. So recognize this, that whenever there's a sale, God always showed me this. Whenever there's a sale, buy what you can get, as much of it, because the next time you go to buy it, it will cost more. So when I go back to the Proverbs 31 woman, she was organized. She had systems in place. She got it done. Her husband trusted that she could manage it. She wasn't just sitting around eating bonbons and waiting for him to do everything. She took care of the household. There is nothing wrong, ladies, to be in the kitchen. There's nothing wrong with the kitchen. We don't have to hate and resent being a female and all this other stuff that society's pushing, that we got to be progressive and look like men and cut your hair. That's all nonsense. We just, it's fine. We're gonna get done what needs to be done. And let me tell you, you will be so glad that you did. And I know a lot of men that don't have wives that are glad that they're learning how to do this stuff too, so they can be sustainable. Especially those of you that go out and you hunt your deer and you got your venison and now you can make your jerky and you are sustainable. And sure, we want husbands and wives to be set. We want those Ruths and those Boaz to meet. We're calling those forth in the name of Jesus. So this was the first part. Okay, so I got everything in my kitchen, and these jars come in six in a case. The other ones are 12 in a case. With the jars, you want the wide mouth because you can really pack the food in there. I have small hands. I can get my hands in the regular ones. However, these are so much better. So that was the first part of that. So everything in my pantry and all those other jars went away, and I had to restock everything. So all the pasta, and pasta is really cheap. I make my own pasta, a lot of different types of pasta. So I buy a lot of the semolina flour, which goes in the drawer, in the jars, or in Mylar bags. So I'll have a system where I put everything in a Mylar bag, and then like my 5 pounds of flour or 4 pounds. You can fit 4 pounds of sugar in one of these jars that holds 4 pounds. And so I'll pull out from a system, like when it goes on sale, out of my Mylar bag, I'll put in the jar and use this, but then I've got the rest of it in the Mylar bag so it doesn't go bad. Now, the next thing that I had to tackle was my freezer. Well, let me tell you, that was fun. And God showed me that while I was doing well with making my purchases, I wasn't doing well with organizing it. Anything that you don't have accessible, you don't know what you have. Okay, and if you don't know what you have, then you're gonna not use it, and then it's gonna go bad, and then there again, you weren't being a good steward. So this was an eye-opening exercise for me to be aware of what I had. So I'm gonna show you what he had me do with my freezer. Okay, so I've got some things that, and I had to keep everything kind of safe so it doesn't all go bad in this time. Okay, so what he had me do, and this works if you have a chest freezer, a regular freezer, or an upright freezer. So what I did, and I've tried this in so many ways, some of you have been on this journey with me for so long, but now this system I'm using, and this works well if you live, let's say you live in an apartment, and you say, I have a little small freezer, and it's got that little shelf. Take the shelf out. Take out whatever you don't need, store it, and then when you move out, just put it back. Take out the ice thing too, because that's a waste of space. The little bucket, I don't use that. I never have. I've always taken those out. So what I did is this, and I don't want to get my Bible messed up here, but we remember Proverbs 31. Okay. So what I did is that I would go to the store and I would buy. Now this is funny because I didn't have a big budget. Okay, remember before I started doing this, I lost 95% of my income when I stepped out in radio and TV ministry. That's a huge amount. My contract started dropping, but God still kept providing. And so what I would do is I was going to the store and I would buy steaks, and they were buy one pack, get two free, New York strip. Okay, so I FoodSaver. I use my vacuum sealer and I vacuum seal them. Okay, but then to take it a step further, and I want to close this up. What I've done is then I put them in a bag, a gallon bag, and then I stack them up. Okay, I create my freezer like a file cabinet. So all my red meat is in pink. And you all know I love Post-it notes. I got my Post-it notes right here. I love a good Post-it note. Got all sizes, got all colors. I love Post-it notes, not dollar store Post-it notes. They're cheap and they don't stick to anything. So do not get those, but get the Post-its when they go at Costco on sale. You just stock up. And this neighbor of mine gave me like this huge box. I kind of wish I didn't give so many of them away. However, I did. I was in the giving mood, and who doesn't need a Post-it note? Just love them. So I stack. Now I can stack, and my freezer is one of those deep freezers, so I can stack two, and I know that pink are going to be for red meat. So that works very, very well. So now I've got it to where it's not going to go bad. Chicken is in the green or the yellow, and then salmon was in green, or fish. Okay. Now let me show you two other things. So I've got this here. Now, butter. Now this is a funny thing, but I stack my butter in the bag. Okay, so I've got my butter, and I like everything kind of organized, although I could probably better done these two. Switch these two out, and I'd be happy. Well, it still wouldn't matter, but that's okay. So with my butter, and it sounds kind of funny, like who needs this much butter? Well, when it goes on sale for $1.99, you're being a prudent shopper, and you're being a wise servant with what God has blessed you with. Ladies might be more into this than men, but I do know a lot of men that cook and bake, and they bake phenomenal foods. And sometimes they bring them, I just eat them. And it just happens. And so then I gotta work out, because otherwise I'd look like it, trust me. And so with the butter, you can fit 2, 4, 6, 7, I think it's like 16 of the longer sticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it would be 14 of the longer sticks, and then 28 of the half sticks. Now, what's nice about this is that then I can just stack these in my freezer. And because I know what they are, I didn't feel the need to label, but I might go crazy and do that. And what I like about this too is that I had so much butter, but when I bought the pressure canner, I made ghee, which is the clarified butter. And so now I've got butter that is not, that is also in the jars. I didn't bring any of that to show you, but that really helped me get organized, now I've got what I need, and I got it at the best price. Some of this butter now is like $4.69 for a 4-stick, which is ridiculous, because I was buying it at like $1.99 to $2.50. So this takes time with the Lord. Now, the next two things that I am going to show you are just little happies. So I told you that Okay, so in the spirit of being prepared, because we know we need to be prepared in and out of season. So when I have one of my ministry partners that makes cookies. And so this is what I do whenever there's a lot of cookies. And when someone bakes cookies, store them in the freezer, in the vacuum seal bags, or in the jars. Don't leave them in the bedroom or in the pantry, because they won't last as long. They'll last longer in the freezer. So I take them and I stick them in, and then I just have, and then again these. And I haven't yet labeled these, but these will just stand up, and my desserts are in pink. So I've got the a different pink, this pink, and so they're standing upright, and then these are the cookies that are already done. So if I have company and I don't have time, I've got great cookies, which I haven't had company. So don't send the quarantine cops after me, because I won't answer the door anyway. But that's that. Now, the last fun thing, and then I'll get to my next question, is this. So if you're like me and you want to be really prepared, you might just have the ingredients to make the item, but you don't want to make the item. So I'll take like the dry ingredients, put them in the jars, and then just store that for cakes or anything else that's the dry ingredients, crust ingredients, things of that nature. Those are in the jars, all labeled. So I just pull that out, mix my wet ingredients, and I'm good. I also do one more thing, and ladies, you might really love this. Cookies. So what I will do is I will make the dough. And so this is a 6-pack of dough balls. And so if I don't want to make all the cookies, and I needed to kind of shift some ingredients around and use some ingredients, especially I had some eggs that I didn't want to go bad, and I eat so many hard-boiled eggs. Okay, and I've got eggs frozen, which you can do, by the way. So I've got enough eggs, and I'm waiting for my Harvest Right freezer, so then I can make the powdered eggs, and then you'll just be like, this is going to be like a playland at some point. But what's nice about doing this is that now if I just want 6 cookies, I can just bake 6 cookies and not have to go through the whole thing. Or if I just want 2, I can pull out 2 and put them in my, what do you call that thing? The toaster oven, and just make 2 cookies. So what I've done, and it keeps me out of the store. That's another thing. When I went into the store, and you can go and you can buy like the chub of the cookie dough or little squares, but there's 23 ingredients in it, and most of them I can't pronounce, and I have a pretty good vocabulary. And so that was ridiculous. There's not that many ingredients in chocolate chip cookies when you make them yourself. So I just make the dough, and actually they weren't pink. It's gonna be it's gonna be yellow, because I already tagged these. I thought I made the other ones in pink. So they're tagged. And there again, and the reason why I don't write on the bag is because I can reuse the bag, and I can just rip this off, and then I'm good to go. So God took me on this massive journey. I did not know that that's what I was going into at all. But obviously God did, and I needed my kitchen household and the rest of my household in order, because there's things that I need to be focused on that are not of this earthly nature. But I needed to have this area organized. So now, and another thing that I can share with you that I've done too is like potatoes. So I'll can the potatoes, or I'll make the twice baked potatoes, and then then I'll get a rotisserie chicken from Costco, and I've got a twice baked potato with some green beans and a rotisserie chicken, and then with that extra meat from the chicken, I can then use that for other meals that I'm going to make, and then take the chicken and then put it in the crock pot and make a broth out of it, which I can can. So all of this stuff, I didn't know how to do any of this, by the way. This was like a journey that was probably the first 6 months of 2018 of getting my house in order and really being aware of what's happening globally, what's happening within my home, what am I doing? And so I started really sharing this with the saints, in that, look, you've got to have your house in order, because we've got to be the ones stepping up to help others. And if we don't have our house in order, we're going to have bigger problems. We cannot be the ones in the bread lines. We cannot be the ones that don't have. We've got to be the ones that are walking in more than enough. And a lot of people don't like hearing that, because they think they're just going to pray. No, you're not. Your prayer is going to be that you don't run out of fuel before you get the food at the bread line or the food bank line. So we've got to be on the offense, paying attention, and that's what God was showing me, is that I've got to have what I need to be sustainable. And so I probably spent more time on that, and could do a whole message on all of that, because it's so intricate what God showed me about being preparedness. Now I don't have to think. I don't eat horse meat and all the phosphates at the fast food places and all that stuff. Now it's not even a thought. I always have what I need. It's right there. I eat it. It's healthy and it's sustainable, and I know what it is because God, well, I already know how to cook, but it was God just opening my eyes because they needed to be open. So, Jesse, I hope that I honored your answer and honored that in a way that would be pleasing to the Lord. The next question is from my buddy Brian S. from LinkedIn. This is a great question. What is God's name, and how many people will be in heaven? Okay, I'm not going to answer all the names of God. There are, I know right off the top, 26 names of God. Now, I'm going to give you some. Okay, I'm going to give you 4 to work with, and some are going to be in the Hebrew. Okay, and so when we begin to look, the first one is Elohim, and that is the Hebrew word for God that is found in Genesis 1:1. So that is Elohim. The next one that I will give you is in Genesis 16, and it is El Roi, L-R-O-I. Okay, and this is the God who sees me. I mean, the study of the names of God is just so intimate. It is just so, I don't know what the right word would be. But when you really begin to study, and if it sounds like I'm yelling, I really apologize. I've been in a class. Well, I think being in a classroom for so many years, I'm used to yelling over people. So I'm not yelling at anybody, and I kind of realized that it might seem like I was yelling, and I apologize for that. But in studying the names of God and praying the names of God, like praying the names of Jesus, it moves us away from the English vernacular into the Hebrew to see the depth and the fullness of the Lord in a totally different way. There's El Shaddai, who is God Almighty. Write down Genesis 17, 17:11. El Olam, in Hebrew, it's God everlasting and God eternal. And that is in Genesis 21. And so what I would encourage you to do is to not necessarily go and study Hebrew in that direction, but there's a lot of references of God in the Hebrew. We know Adonai is Lord Master. We can get into Yahweh Rophi, the Lord who heals, Yahweh Nisi, the Lord my banner. And so all of these names, Yahweh Shalom, peace. And so when you study in the Hebrew and then you understand these words and you start to pray, let me tell you, when you start to pray the names of God, Yahweh Siri, who is the Lord my rock, and Jehovah Jireh, and Jehovah Nisi, and Jehovah Rophi, and you start to pray the names of God, your prayer life begins to change, which is so very awesome. So awesome. The last part of this question that I am going to answer is how many people are in heaven? Now, I want to answer this in the right way. I don't know because I'm not there. So, what I've always been told is this, and this is setting apart the 144,000 and that, but what I was always told growing up in Christ by my Bible teacher: never judge what you think is a Christian or who you think is a Christian on this earth. Because when you get to heaven, there will be those that you would never think are Christian in heaven, and those that you expected that would be there that aren't. And then I was told, just because someone's leading or what appears to be leading a large mass of people somewhere does not mean they're leading them to heaven, and it does not mean they're being led by Jesus, and it doesn't mean that that person who's proclaiming Jesus is of Jesus. And that twisted me for quite a long time, because I started looking at people not in a judgy-wudgy way, but in a way of who was a Christian. And then I started wanting to really become one in a way that I ensured that I want to do all I can to make sure that I'm in heaven. And we know that earth is boot camp for heaven. And so you may be surprised at the number of people, whether it's high or low. You may be surprised at who the people are. How many there are. There will be all those that you see, and then there will be all those that you don't see. How many are there? Well, I don't. Maybe it's a trick question, and maybe I am the ignorant, the one that hasn't yet found it in the Bible, but I don't know. There's less because we still are here. So how many people are there in heaven at what given time? Because there will be more, right? Once we are all there. But then the people coming after us. So the number is variable at any given time. So I can't really answer that. There might be a more spiritual answer that I am just completely missing. I don't know. But Brian, I hope that they give you something to work with. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that would be, I mean, that's like asking God, how many stars are there? Well, there's more than what we can count or see, right? So God knows. So I would just ask God. That's how I would do that. Just, Lord, how many people are in heaven right now? Like right now. How many are in heaven? And see what he says. So those are the questions. I did not know this was going to be as long as it is, and I was trying to keep this much shorter. However, what can I say? I want to give God the honor due, and I want to answer the questions in the best way that gives what needs to be given. And so I pray that these questions have answered. You got some answers, and if you have more questions based upon what I answer, hey, go ahead and ask them. And if you have other questions, hey, you can go to julieblow.com and ask those questions, and I will do my best to answer them. And know that, hey, today we also pray, and every day at the 12 o'clock hour, all you got to do is dial 214-586-0411. Pray with us as we pray for our leaders, we pray for our president, and many, many other things and other people. So God bless you. Thanks so much for asking your questions, and I'll be back next week with more answers. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Bye.